It's really lovely to be back with you. And I always want to begin every time I'm with this group, this wonderful, special group of people, to begin with just a little bit of gratitude for IJS, for the grounding that you provided in my own life, and I'm sure for many of us who are here, and for providing us with this communal space and this way to be together. Thank you for that. Um, so we're gonna have, if you've sat with me before, today I'm gonna be a little more text heavy than usual. So if that's something that is exciting to you, that's wonderful. And if that's challenging, if you're noticing anything coming up negatively when I'm saying with that, just notice that. You can sit with that as well, and hopefully it will be a positive experience for you as well. Um, Last week's Torah portion talked about this idea of bikurim, of first fruits that were brought to the temple. And even though, we are looking forward, I also want to look back a little bit, because the idea of connecting this idea of first fruits, of gift giving, and of offering, making a connection between that and teshuva is a really fruitful place for me. And so I wanted to share that with you as well. So um, our there's a commentary, and there we won't be sharing screen during this, but there are resources that will be shared with you. And so if you're a person who likes to look at that during this, please go ahead. You can click through there, but you can also just sit and receive it. You don't have to work. Um, this is an offering. Um, so our teaching comes from the Sfat Emet. And part of this teaching is that um, this idea that in the future there would be no more offering of first fruits. Um, and um, and that was um, put out there. The explanation for that is that prayer is another way of giving first fruits to the Holy One of Blessing. So rather than the actual first fruits of our harvest and the way that our ancestors used to bring that to the Holy Temple, prayer is a way to do that. So it seemed that that's kind of taken care of that obligation to bring those first fruits forward. There's a piece of text that our sages want to get into a little bit further, um, because in the Torah portion it also refers to this day, Hayom, and connecting this bikurim, this gift giving, this offering giving, this first fruits to this day. And so in the Midrash and in Rashi, the explanation is that this day is connected to the mitzvot. So we've got prayer taking care of one part of this, mitzvot taking care of another part of this for us, this idea of first fruits. Now, I love the idea of connecting also our physicality and the world that we live in, the things that we eat. If we're people who grow something, in my little backyard garden in Los Angeles, we do grow fruit and vegetables, and this idea of setting aside the very first that comes forward from that is such a tangible thing, much more tangible, right, for us than prayer, and sometimes maybe even more tangible than ritual mitzvot. So there's a power to that. Um, so Sfat Emet goes on to to say these words, and this is where the connection to teshuvah comes in for me. He says, a person has the power to renew everything. Since obviously there is in everything the aspect of renewal. Behold, the Holy One of blessing renews creation continuously every day. And the explanation is that continuously means every moment. And also there is no thing that doesn't have liveness from the Holy Blessed One. And so it can't become old since God's words are alive and flow constantly. However, when darkness covers the face of the land, the external husks hide the flowing point. And this is why it is written, there's nothing new under the sun. And this is the nature of the world. However, a person has the strength to illuminate the point from the darkness. And this is why it is written, this day the Holy One commands you to do. Meaning find the aspect of this day, which is the uncovering and revealing of the light. So as we think about this connection between making offerings, between as our sages offer for us this idea of prayer and mitzvot, we can also think about this idea of renewing and renewal and the first fruits. And even in the darkest of times, and as our sages remind us, we've been there before. We can find connection to Teshuvah through this uncovering of the light, even in the darkest of times. So, one further thing that I would love for us to sit with today, as we sit with this connection between offering and teshuvah, comes at the very end of the selection that I shared in the supplementary materials that y'all have access to. But I'll read it to you so you don't have to look if you don't want to. The Sfat Emet talks about this process of sorting out and clarifying. And for me, that is a lot of what happens during sitting time. It's not that I'm actively sorting out and clarifying, because if I'm doing that, then I'm not actually being present, right? But as I allow myself to be present with what is in each moment, there's a sorting out and clarifying that happens almost of its own volition. So Sfat Emet says that when this sorting out and clarifying takes place, truly renewal is revealed to that person. And this is what is written. If you listened, Shemoah, to the old, then you will listen, Tishma, to the new. We have to be aware of both the external and the internal, he says. And when doing so, we will bow and kneel, meaning bowing one's desire to surrender. And he says that kneeling is a reflexive verb, which means that we do so according to the will. And he then goes on to say that if we do this, then we'll truly merit the revelation of truth, surrender to what is real, and access to the real truth. And so finally, as we sit today with this idea of renewal, access to truth, this idea of sorting out and clarifying that hopefully can just happen for us, not with effort, just allowing ourselves to be and being with ourselves, allowing that to happen. I would like to invite us all to think about Teshuvah itself as an offering, as a gift to ourselves, a gift to the world, a gift to other beings, and a gift to the Holy One of Blessing. So, with that, I'm going to invite you to find a comfortable way to sit. And breathing into presence, allowing the eyes to rest or close, whatever's more comfortable for you. You can come to a soft focus just a couple of feet in front of you, or if it's more comfortable to you to let your eyes gently close, go ahead and do that. Connecting with your base, the place where your sitting bones meet whatever you're sitting on, whether it's the floor, a chair, or a cushion. And just noticing the way in which you're sitting. If you don't have both of your feet planted on the floor, if you're in a chair, go ahead and do that and bring a little bit of equalness to the way that you're sitting. And wherever you're sitting, just notice if you're leaning to one side or another, or leaning a little bit forward and back or backward, and bringing yourself to a neutral and central way of sitting. And then just taking a few cleansing breaths. And we'll sit for a few moments, allowing this process of sitting to bring some sorting out and clarification just on its own, just by being present with what is. And allowing the breath to be the anchor. If you should find your mind telling stories, drifting to places, the moment you notice it, just a gentle invitation to come back to the presence of what is now through the rooting action of noticing the breath. And we'll sit quietly for the next few minutes. Gently coming back to presence and noting that if in that clarification and sorting out process, what you sat with was wonderful, that's great. If what you sat with was challenging, it's also part of being present and doing this sorting out presence. So today, I want to close with a poem called Hineni by Shlomit Naim Naor. And this translation is by Lisa Katz. And you will stand before yourself and say aloud that your mouth and heart are one, your arms spread and breathing deeply, a sea revealed before you, you who immersed and rose pure, not a trace within, and you will stand before your God, facing the desert, facing the sea, facing the busy city, facing yourself as a child, and facing what you will become in older age. And you roared because you chose life, chose and forgave yourself for yesterday's sins, and forgave those around you for their actions today, and found compassion for each creation, and found within love for all that your eye caressed. And you will know that you are one, and your name is one. Thank you so much for your presence and for the offering of being here. May we all find renewal and blessing in this season.
Thank you so much, Kerith, as always. Friends, let's bring our practice to a close together. Offering an opportunity for those of you who are in mourning, or those of you who are observing a yard site in this season, or participate in the Kaddish as your own personal practice. And if you're not reciting Kaddish, to please stay present, to be hinenu, be present together and support those who are in mourning. Thanks to Natalie for sharing the words of the Kaddish on the screen. And if you'd like to put the name or names of those you're honoring today in the chat, you're welcome to do so now or after we recite Kaddish. And again, I will blow the shofar after we recite Kaddish, as we do throughout the month of Elul, to attune ourselves to the sound of the shofar. So if you're joining me, please rise in body or in spirit, and you can unmute at this time. Buchdahl,
Magnify the great name of God, created according to the divine way, sovereignty centered established in our lifetime, that of the entire house of Israel. Amen. Honored, extolled, exalted, adored, acclaimed be the name of blessed Holy One. All praises. God grant abundant peace, like peace into all Israel. Amen. May God, who ordains harmony in the universe, grant peace to us and to all Israel. Amen.
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 Yasher Koach.
And friends, thanks for joining us today. As always, if you're viewing us now, we hope you'll join us tomorrow as we move towards the end of our week of practice, of course. Tomorrow will be led by Sabrina Sojourner. Look forward to that. On Friday, Rabbi Jenny Solomon of Beth Meyer Synagogue will be leading us to sit together into Shabbat. So we hope you'll join us either or both of those times. And thanks to Natalie and Brushinov for holding our text space today. Thanks to Kerith Spencer-Shapiro for leading us beautifully once again. You're all welcome to stay on. You can continue just to use that time and space to sit with us or share your reflections on today's teaching and your experience with the practice today, or just check in the chat. As always, and if you'd like to ask a question for me to work into the conversation, please write question all in caps in the chat, and I will try to work it in. So let's bring you in, Kerith. And here we go. Okay. So, as always, thanks for that beautiful practice. What stood out for me, there was a lot of beautiful teaching there. Just like the core of what I got was the focus on the Hebrew word hayom, which is in that Torah portion, Kitavod, that describes the bringing of the first fruits. It also comes up a lot in this Shabbat's Torah portion, like the Tzavim, where Moses says to the people, you're standing hayom before all of you, those who were there at that time and those all in the future. And the connection between hayom and teshuvah, that's what I really want to kind of reiterate, go back over and see if we can bring it into our day, the rest of our day, and also bring it into our preparations for the Yamim Noraim. Here's what I got from what you were offering is that word hayom today is not it's not just descriptive. It's a state of being, of awareness of the ongoing renewal of life. That the moment we're in right now is not it's not like any of the other moments that previously happened. And that if we have that awareness, it has the potential to redeem the previous moments when we perhaps were not at our best. But if we remember them, that we can extract from our remembrance of them an awareness of something that can help us act differently in the moment, because we're not bound by the people we were in the past. It's always possible to speak and act differently than we did in the past when we were aware that, I'm not only am I being recreated anew at the moment, but I can participate in my own recreation at the moment.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to reflect that back and see, if that's in line with what you intended to offer, or, whether you want to expand on it, or if I missed something there, Kerith.
It's really beautiful, Mark. Thank you. I think it's like you've taken it a step further than I even intended. And I think it really has a lot to offer us. I think, part of that, the part that I really wanted to focus in on is just be with Hayom.
Mm-hmm.
Just be with Hayom, because as much as we can, because our tendency as humans is not to be with Hayom. Our tendency is to look back. Our tendency is to look forward and to engage in grasping, either holding on to what was or reaching for something that we don't have. And the more that we can be with right now, the more we have access to that clarifying process that happens. And that's why I think this is connected to sitting, even though Sfat Emet doesn't mention sitting, he mentions prayer and mitzvot, that when we sit and we actually are attending to what is here right now, we're attending to Hayom, we're practicing and we're engaging in that process of this clarification, that allows us, I guess, to be present in a way in that, to connect it to that to what you are saying. It allows us to
Mhm.
really be a part of that uh, creative flow, creative process, mindfully rather
Mhm.
than just willy-nilly, because we are creating, whether we want to or not, we're creating. Um, and if we can do that in a way that we're fully present, or as much as we can be present, we offer more to ourselves, to the world, to God, to each other.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Um, for some people that word Hayom may also resonate because it's the name of one of the Piyutim, one of the liturgical poems of the high holidays,
Mm-hmm.
which, often at the end of services, it depends, I guess, on what your practice is, but it's often at the end of service, and it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like often usually kind of an upbeat thing, and like it's
Yeah.
kind of thing that people don't necessarily pay attention. But I think one of the gifts here is that by, underlying that word Hayom,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully for those of us who will be singing that or engaging in that, it will have some special meaning. I appreciate not screen sharing the text while we're practicing, Kerith. I think it's very helpful not to be distracted by that. But if it's okay with you, I actually do want to share it and take a, because
Yes.
it's such a beautiful teaching.
Yeah.
And this is from the Spadamet, who was a 19th century, one of the great Hasidic teachers, often quoted. So this, I just highlighted here what you were reading,
Mm-hmm.
um, that this day, Hayom, um, means that the mitzvot should be in your eyes as a new every day. Okay. So, and I love this. Is it possible a person would desire to make mistakes, even if in truth there's no renewal, heaven forfend, but a person has the power to renew everything. There's in everything the aspect of renewal, just like that alone, worth
Yeah.
the price of admission.
Yeah.
In everything, there is the aspect of renewal. Um, Behold, the Holy One renews creation continuously every day, which is a line also from the daily liturgy every morning. Um,
Mm-hmm.
in God's goodness, God renews the creation every day. The explanation of that continuously means every moment, which is another hayom, like hayom
Mm-hmm.
is today. And so there's no thing that doesn't have liveness. This is also a beautiful
Yeah.
teaching. Liveness from the Blessed Holy One and the point from God forever so that it can't become old, since God's words are alive and flow constantly.
Yeah.
Um, so I just highlighted the next part. A person has the strength to illuminate the point from the darkness. That's the kind of redemptive, the darkness meaning, when we stray from our intention, right?
Yeah.
And that's why it's written, this day, the one commands you to do, to find the aspect of Hayom, which is the uncovering and revealing of the light. So
Yeah.
it's so
I think
beautiful. I thought it was
it,
powerful to read it again.
yeah, it is. I mean, it's a striking teaching. And I think the other piece about like the darkness, and returning to the light, and especially that connection to, there's nothing new under the sun, right? Spoke to
Mhm.
me so powerfully right now. Because yes, it's about, when we stray and returning ourselves toward a wholesome path. But it's also about when the world around us seems to have lost its way.
Mhm.
Um, that, it in Sfat Emet's language, chas v'chalila, heaven forfend, that we should think that that means we don't play a continual role in this process of creating every day anew. Um,
Yeah.
that we can and we have to find the light. Um, and we do that in small ways. We do it today by being here with one another,
Right.
and recognizing each other's humanity and practicing compassion. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Um, and then the poem that you ended with, Hineni, which what's it called? It's called Hineni, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's a great, that's another, in terms of Jewish mindfulness, Hebrew vocabulary. We don't have to have a, you don't have to have a huge Hebrew vocabulary to have a good Jewish mindfulness Hebrew
That's
vocabulary.
right.
Like Hayom should be in your book. Everyone should write that down. Hayom, this
Yeah.
day, right? And
Well,
he,
Mark, I think you just found a new project for us.
oh yeah. Well, it's a running thing. I mean, it's, first of all, we have
Yeah.
some paradigmatic,
Mm-hmm.
texts from Torah, which are, I think, this our standard, like
Yep.
Jacob waking up from his dream and saying, God
Mm-hmm.
was in this place and I didn't know, and also
Yep.
Moses at the bush. But there are many others. But
Mm-hmm.
in terms of terminology, traditional Jewish terminology, which are central to the high holidays, like
Yeah.
Hayom and also Hineni, which
Maybe. Yes.
as a cantor, obviously, it's also, there's another liturgical poem traditionally recited by the Shlichat Tzibor, Shliach Tzibor, person representing the community in prayer. It's kind of, expressing humility about playing that role and praying for the merit to be able to represent the community. But it also literally means I'm here. I'm
Mm-hmm.
here. I'm present. I'm open. I'm receptive. Um, I said receptive already. Prepared. Uh, Without preconception, without
Yeah.
assumption. Really the stance of mindfulness, of being
Yeah.
curious and not hardening our position around
Yeah.
anything, being flexible and open in that way. So I thought that, having both Hayom and Hineni was really great. It was
Yeah.
really great.
Well, I'm clearly a chazan.
Yes, you
So
are.
those are some words that speak to me a lot. And I think, also the other piece about Hineni for me, there's a sense of vulnerability that's connected to that word. It's not just showing up, it's not
Mhm.
just being physically present, it's really being yourself, like being honest. I think that also, the end of this text from Sfat Emet about like the real truth being revealed to you. Sometimes the real truth, especially about our own selves, is not necessarily like
Right.
the truth that we want to broadcast to the world.
Right.
And so, but when we can show up with wisdom and compassion for ourselves and vulnerability, we really can have the space to hold that full truth.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you if you would, and maybe I'll screen share Natalie, if you could give you a little heads up here, if you could screen share the poem, and maybe you could take us out with that, Kerith.
Yeah.
As we're getting that ready, want to just thank Harris for sharing in the chat that beautiful anecdote about how his mother would greet him every morning by saying, "Today,
Oh,
welcome
sweet.
to the first day of the rest of your life." What a beautiful
Love
practice,
that.
parental practice, and gift to you. And thanks for sharing that, Harris, and reminding that remains true for you and for all of us to each day. Um, I So Natalie, if you have it handy, if you don't, I have it. There you go.
Beautiful.
That's what I figured. Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
And
Natalie.
since you brought up the liturgy, I'll chant a line and
Oh,
then read
awesome.
the poem. Yeah. Hineni he ani mima'as, nir'ash v'nifrad mipachad. And you will stand before yourself and say aloud that your mouth and heart are one, your arms spread and breathing deeply, a sea revealed before you, you who immersed and rose pure, not a trace within. And you will stand before your God, facing the desert, facing the sea, facing the busy city, facing yourself as a child, and facing what you will become in older age. And you roared because you chose life, chose and forgave yourself for yesterday's sins and forgave those around you for their actions today and found compassion for each creation and found within love for all that your eye caressed, and you will know that you are one and your name is one.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Kerith.
Thank you.
Wishing you lots of strength and success in your role as Chazan in Hartford. And thanks to Natalie and to everyone for being here. We hope you'll join us tomorrow to practice with Sabrina Sojourner and on Friday with Rabbi Jenny Solomon. Many blessings, everyone, as we close out the year 5785. Okay, be